It's 5:30 in the morning, got up at 10 to 5, boiler had gone off, branch stuck in it, pulled that out, reset it all, good job, because I've got a white shirt on, then got in the shower, got ready. Now I'm going to hit the motorway, get to Salford, to Media City. Apparently you've got to get makeup put on as well, because of the lights in the studio, and then we're going to do something for BBC Breakfast. So I googled last night how many people watch it, and in fact, there's a quiz question. How many people do you think watch BBC Breakfast? The clue is not as many as I thought. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Anyway, let's get going. If you see muddy footprints on the carpet, the BBC, it's me getting some wheat because they want me to take some wheat in. Just going to pull a few bits out now. Just arrived. Look at that. Proper mesh. Anyway, it's like reinforcing mesh, isn't it? Stainless steel. Right, let's go and find the lift out of the car park. It's huge and no one's here. Got me wheat, looking a bit black. There's the ship canal on the docks, or Salford Quays, what you'd call it. I think every time I've been here, it's been like really early in the morning. It's always a little bit of a ghost town. You look at the size of some of the buildings. I expect there to be like loads of people here, but there never is. Anyway, I think it's this one here. No, I'm carrying wheat, but randomly I can smell Allied Mills, which is the flour mill. Just sort of, oh, not even a quarter of a mile over there. There's ITV, and that's obviously BBC. And then we're in this building as well. Ghost town again. Just waiting here for the makeup people.
From those studio lights.
Anti-shining powder. It looks like a stood on a dead fish or something. I'm a less shiny now than I was before. That's the studio here now.
Now, we don't need you to tell you, it's been a very soggy summer so far. And, OK, we can grumble about it, but look, we can, for most of us, just get on with it. It might be a council barbecue or a slightly damp camping trip.
Yeah, for others, though, especially farmers, it is a much more serious issue. The persistent rain has delayed harvests, it's damaged crops. Well, Joe Makel spent the day on a farm in East Yorkshire to find out what's happening.
When your whole year has been building up to the harvest, this is not what you want to see. Gaps in the fields where the driving wind and rain has flattened the wheat, and it's simply been too wet to work.
So Richard, just how far behind are you?
Well, it's the 3rd of August now, and we'd normally be a quarter to halfway through our winter wheat. But not only that, we've got our spring barley and our oilseed rape still to harvest. Everything is still looking at us in the field.
And looking more closely, you can see the damage to the crop.
So the grain within the ears is sprouting. So that is very, very bad news for us.
And it looks quite soft and mushy.
Soft and mushy and rotting it will be doing now, so, and the quality is completely gone now.
But you can just squeeze the water out of it, can't you?
You can.
This shed should be at least half full of grain by now, and even when it's here, there'll be an extra cost to dry it out so it's ready to sell.
Economically, we shall lose money on the quality of the wheat. The yields will go down, and so our return won't be as great. But also then we've got the added cost of the fuel and electricity with the drying.
The weather is, of course, a part of farming, but the extremes, the drought last year, a washout this, just adds to the pressures on the industry and those in it.
We've got a lot of issues going along around Brexit. Obviously, imports are coming into this country grown and produced to lower standards than we produce. And then, of course, we have the weather of and the stress from that. And farming is not an easy time and not an easy industry to be in at the best of times. And so when you have these stresses and strains, you really need to have a lot of people and support around you to sort of share the burden of that mental stress.
It's all still in the field, rotting away.
I mean, you're laughing, but it's a really, I mean, you know, this is your business.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's high stakes, you know. It's all our income is concentrated into this period of harvesting, and it is a worrying time.
Well, Ollie Harrison has a farm in Merseyside and joins us here in the studios now. Really tough time for you at the moment. Just describe what you should be doing at this time of year.
Well, we're hoping for dry weather. Get out there, get on the combine, harvest fields. Around this time now, we'll be drilling oilseed for next year. But it's just so waterlogged and so wet that we can't do anything.
And so basically, you're looking for some kind of window at some point where you can go and do all that. But normally, you'd expect several days in a row of dry weather.
Yeah, so, you know, a normal summer, you'd maybe have 4 or 5, 10 days dry weather, then you'd have a day of rain or so, then it'd dry up again. But instead, we're just getting 4 or 5 hours worth of dry in an afternoon, but obviously everything's still wet.
I mean, these are pictures from your farm that you shot. I mean, talk to me about what you can do. We can see the water there. I mean, is it even worth you going out on the combine when it's like that?
It's a salvage operation. You know,
Really?
we've got to get it off because we need the cash flow for next year. You know, that's we spent a year growing that crop. It's the most expensive one we've ever grown because of the import inflation that we've had over the last 12 months. We've got to get it off. The quality is degrading every single day now because the rain is relentless.
OK, and you've brought some stuff in to show us. So let me hold it and then tell us what we're looking at here.
So this should be like golden wheat, really. But if you look, it's starting to go black. It's literally rotting in the fields. And then we've got these smaller ones here. So they should look like that one. But because we had such dry weather in June, ironically, it died in June. So the yield is actually not there where it should be.
So it really is a double whammy. So stunted because of the heat earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And now the stuff that has grown and managed to survive that is rotting.
It's rotting and we're struggling to get it out the field. And when we do get it out the field, it's wet still.
And then that's what we can see in the grains here.
So if you want to grab one of them each, you can
really feel it's really wet.
Yeah. So that was fresh this morning.
That's incredible.
That's why my shoes are muddy. But if you bite them, you'll be able to see one of them will be. One's 15% moisture, which is what it needs to be for us to store it and dry it and sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
The other one it's about 24% moisture. Normally, it's not economical to cut grain over about 17 or 18.
Yeah.
But this year, we're having to cut 20+%, bring it in and then dry it.
Really chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't mill that into flour, you see.
What happens to it then if this stuff is just unusable in large part?
Well, we have to condition it to make it usable, so we have to bring it in and mechanically dry it in the sheds.
But that's more energy costs then, isn't it?
More energy, more time, more labour. We don't really have the space to bring it all in wet, dry it and then put it into store. So we're just all the time we're kind of juggling and choked up with wet grain at the moment.
Now, I know you've said that obviously you rely on the yield you get from this harvest then to buy crop for next year. If farmers can't actually afford to buy their crop for next year, what happens?
We just up the overdraft and carry on, and hope for that better year. I mean, in the last 4 years, three of them we've had a dry spell at the wrong time and yields have been really limited. And that's the ironic thing this year. We've got that dry spell in June, and now it's so wet. If we'd have had some of this rain in June, it probably would have saved us £100,000. Yeah,
I mean, you look at the weather as it was back then in June, and you think, wow, that looks beautiful, and
it was amazing.
and would have provided opportunity for them, but you still need the growing time, I guess, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's roughly sort of 10 months to grow a wheat crop. Oilseed, it's sometimes over 12 months, and that's what we really need to be getting in the ground now for next year.
I've been down to the farm with you in the past, and you've told me then that it's all about being resilient, that this is what you do, that this is, what farming is all about. It's, riding with all of the kind of unpredictability. Have you ever seen it this bad?
No, I've never seen the mood so low in agriculture either. Normally there's a little glimmer of optimism, or we think, things are going to get better, but this year it's just not good.
Do you talk about that with your fellow farmer friends? Is it something that you can be a bit more open about now? Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I dump it on YouTube every day and I'm having a bad day. And that helps?
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah. No, 100%, yeah. And, but, yeah, bringing your mates up and saying, that they're all in the same boat, really. You know, with the oilseed rape yields have been shocking this year, and I think that's due to the wet weather we had in April, because it couldn't flower. It was so cold and wet in April. Petals were knocked off. The bees couldn't fly because it was wet. And yeah, it's not a good year at all to be farming.
Is there a tiny bit of hope? Because Simon was saying that the weather will improve next week.
I just saw that then, but we need about 3 weeks of that, and then we need about another month in September to get next year's crop in.
And what's fascinating about what you do as well, there's so many different processes, aren't there? As you said, you know, you've got to get this in months and months ago, then you've got to hope for the weather, and everything's got to align. Ultimately, this is about creating stuff for customers, isn't it?
Yeah,
So what does this mean for supply and price?
I mean, it's not my harvest, it's everyone's. You know, this is what everyone's going to eat now. Loads of people say if it's a poor harvest, the price is going to go up. There's 10% in a loaf of bread is the wheat.
Right.
So, you know, if wheat doubled in price, it'd put 10 pence on a loaf of bread. Okay. You know, if wheat doubled in price, we might make some money, but I can't see that happening. And
do you think that's why we've sort of lost the connection then with farming and farmers?
Yeah.
Actually, we don't really notice the effect of this.
No. And for instance, you know, at the moment, grain is the same price it was 11 years ago.
Right.
But all your costs have gone up. Are triple.
Yeah. It's really, really tough, Ollie. Listen, thank you for all thank you for all the work that you and your colleagues are doing, just to try and keep things going.
How wet that is.
Oh, God.
So we won't even go through the machinery. It's that wet at the moment. So we need a day for it to dry.
Right, we will do our sun dance for you. And good luck over the coming weeks. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Ollie. Thank you.
Well, I think that went well. I wanted to say something about interest rates, but we didn't really get opportunity to put that in. Presenters, though, had obviously met Ben before. He'd actually been to the farm as well. So we had a good chat before we actually started, and then obviously again afterwards. It is good that they cover stuff like this, but they are a little bit like, what's it going to mean for the consumer? And the reality is grain's too cheap to even make any difference to the end price. Just at the local flower show now, I'm going to pick Robin up. He's bringing the Zeri on in a minute. There he is. A bit louder than the golf buggy. What a beast. It's the new exhaust. Just needs the flap on the top now. Vehicle trying to reverse. Go on in. Little bit more, Ian. Minus we've been towed back now. I think that's where they're going to be staying for the rest of the day. Just going to sweep this floor clean because we want to make sure that the next dryer pull's all the same variety because it's going to be treated with seed. So I'm just brushing it in off the side. That's all right because it won't jump from there into here. John's here. We've got some merch. He's going to see someone next week. Next up now, back to the flower show. Bale of straw. They were taking some up before, little bales, but not that they were going far enough. So we're going to take a big bale up for them. This is one that got damp after the wedding, but we don't. Turn the suspension on. But we don't. Doesn't matter because it's obviously going to go on wheel ruts in the field, so it's waste now anyway. So I'll take one of these rather than a saleable one. Put the bale there, moving it round with the golf buggy. Got the Flintstones. I thought maybe I could put that on there, but I think it's probably a little bit too much of an overhang, don't you think? Yeah, probably not a good idea that. Before I take that, I better just move this grain pusher out the way. Danny's wheat's about dry, so I think he's going to come and collect some in a minute. So I'll do this and then you can just use that telehandler that's already got the bucket on. Off we go again. It's like it's safer to actually carry a bale on the spikes than drive down the road with the spikes, and then on the way back you have to kind of point them right down. Yeah, I'll go and drop this off now. Just doing a quick lap and I keep bumping into people I know. Big size of them. It's huge. That should keep them busy anyway. Hopefully, because it's stopped raining now, them cars that got on there will be able to get off without getting stuck. Otherwise, I can see us being back here later with a tractor. Anyone think he'd been up early as well? I think it looks good in white. Our survey says 17.95 in the dryer at the moment. That needs another few hours. By the looks of the comments yesterday, it's rained everywhere. It's not raining here now, which I think blue skies, but obviously it was raining this morning. I'm just tipping this into the dryer and then another load to tip out, and then that way then we know that the variety in the dryer is just the wheat Dawson, which is what we want to treat for seed tomorrow. So hopefully Agri or Riso, whichever they call themselves at the moment, will be here and they'll try a little bit so we see what we're doing. They'll clean it, treat it and put it in bags for us to sow in September. Second one tipped out now. I'm going to put it back where it lives, this silage trailer. We might use it though tomorrow actually, because treating the seed, because we can just keep scooping more on the top if we need to. Just quickly sweep this off now. It's this is the neighbour's wheat and they're drying out, so he's picking it up, so I'm just keep pushing it to the back. Make sure they get it all on. I'm not sure how long this cup's been on that bale for, but I'd guess 24 hours maybe. We've got to empty that so that we can discharge this other variety into there, keep it separate. I'll just take it out and put it in the back of the wheat store. Someone was asking what make the brush was on the front of this. It's Oxdale, British. Obviously John Brown supplied it when they sent the tractor. But yeah, it's brilliant for these floors because obviously we need to get all these little bits out. Just over that a few times and scoop it up. Just a little bit left now to go out, and this is ready then for some more wheat next week when we can get it to go through the combine. I missed a bit. No. Another batch discharging. There's a spout should be on there hanging off that rope, and someone knocked it off. He wants putting back on because it splashes over the wall a bit. So a bucket of dry out to there, tip in the back of the shed here. It's done. Oh, is that 1700 tons, is it? Or 107? Yeah, it must be 1700 ton. It would take 3 knot, 2 knot. Oh, I don't know. Done that much in that many hours anyway. So now we'll pick up through this pile here. Bucket of wet. Put that into the dryer intake because the other day we were just tipping wet grain whenever we had a space. That's why that corner's full there. Then that will go into here. Sit that in there, you can see it's filling up now. Then back up, get a dry one out of here. Let's go into the back of the shed. See, normally we discharge straight into the shed, but Anthony's barley's still there in the way, you see. Only 5 people on the birthday bumper today. We got Chris North is 41. Big Dave Thornhill's 51. Adrian Black is on there as well. William Lee is 14 and Christina Briggs is 66. Happy birthday everyone on the birthday bumper today. I'm going to lock up now. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's been a proper random long day. If you made it this far, click like. What's been your favourite bit about today's video? Because obviously there's so much different diversity that are happening today. Also, go and check out the Real Country File, because this week Bush Tyres have sponsored the episode and you can win a set of Telehandler tyres or a set of trailer tyres just by entering the competition using the hashtag the real Ascenso tyres or something. I can't remember, but all the description is in the video, the Real Country File video below. So I've put a link to go and watch that video, and then all the way to enter the competition is there. So if you want to set a Telehandler tyres, go and enter that competition. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. One last thing, for some reason every time I go on the telly moaning about the weather, it changes. Anyway, I've just checked my weather compared to this morning, and it looks like we're in for a dry week now, which is amazing.